But I wanted to share something that is a question. Okay, and here's the question: is all or most of the music you've been listening to your entire life out of tune with, say, the universe? All right, and last time I was making a video before, and I held this up, right? 12 10 versus harmonic series, and I said the rabbit hole goes deeper. And indeed, it does go a lot deeper, believe me. But then I started to compare these, right? And I'll show you that in a minute. And how does 12 tone equal temperament, which is, right, the tuning system that everybody uses, like it's baked into every piano, right? Now, with a synthesizer, of course, you can do anything with programming, right? But a piano is fixed tuning to 12 tone equal temperament, basically by default, and so is every keyboard out of the box. Yes, of course, you can mess with the settings, right? And you can use software to do anything, right? Which we'll explore some of that in a second. But what I did is, let's take a look at this 12 tone equal temperament. I'm going to flip this around so you can see my iPad here. All right, so I'm playing C major, E flat major 7, right? Okay, so over here, okay, so here's 12 tone equal temperament, and I have this and Tonal Studio, and it is powering this here warm pad inside Terra Pro, okay, inside of Loopy. All right, so I got Groove Rider muted for the moment. So if we take a look at this right here, if I play a single note, right, I get a whole bunch of pitches. That's the harmonic series, right? Now, this 12 tone equal temperament. Let's take a look at this spreadsheet. So this is how we come about with the 12 tone equal temperament, the 12 TET, which is the standard tuning system of all pianos, right? All the frets on your guitar laid out in this, right? Of course, you can bend strings and do things like that, but by default, it's 12 tone equal temperament, right? And everything out of the box is 12 tone equal temperament. Of course, on a violin or a fretless guitar, you can do anything you want, you know, trombone, those types of things, right? And again, with a synthesizer, you can program anything in the world, right? But here's 12 tone equal temperament, and I had this spreadsheet made up by a friend from the Time Bank, but I said, here's this idea, can you do it? And she says, yeah. And so you can put in any tuning up here, right? 4, 4, 4. So just as a way of reminder, in that previous video, I started talking about this right here, that there were people actually advertising on Facebook and on YouTube that 440, right, was evil, or like some plot, like some rich, powerful guy, right, that wanted to just mess with the world, made the standard of tuning 440 hertz, right? So, you know, and there's ways of testing the body and the nervous system, like heart rate variability and so on. But anyways, I just thought this is a level, this is a whole another level deeper, right? Because all music, since, you know, it's like all the hit songs you've ever heard on the radio, you know, pretty much all of it is 12 tone equal temperament, right? Yes, there are exceptions, and there are, you know, indigenous tunings around the world that are different and things like that, right? But the primary, you know, since the piano and the guitar with frets kind of took over things, right? This is the dominant way of tuning things. And so we're going to geek out on the math for a second, right? So This right here is the magic number, right? Because each time, you notice we got C and then we got C sharp and like so. Each one of these goes up a half step each time, right? And you go up the scale, right? So I got 33 hertz, right? So if I'm tuned, my A equals 444. This is going to spawn off for me all the frequencies of all the notes of all the octaves, like in 12 tone equal temperament, right? And it's just every time it goes down one, it goes by this ratio. It increases by this ratio here, right? It's not linear, right? It goes up by a ratio, right? And then when you get down here to the octave, right, the next C, right, it's doubled. It's gone from 33 now to 66, right? And that just keeps doubling, you can see C3 at 132 over here, right? So that's how 12 tone equal temperament works. And let me just show you now, okay? So different ways of visualizing this, right, is on the centonal thing. You'll notice I got this set to 12 tone equal temperament, and let me move some of this out of the way for a second. And so if I'm here on C, you'll see that lighting up. I can play 12 pitches, right, until I get to C again, and I just repeat the whole cycle. And you can see that these are equidistant, right? These are all equidistant apart, all these steps, 12 steps, right? In fact, they're fractions of 12, right? If you look at these, that are the spacing of these. And if you go over here to this numbers section, you'll notice that the sense, let's see if we can make sense of this somewhere. See, we get to 0, right? You'll notice that they all go up or down by 100, right? Dead even 100 every time, 100 cents. So that's another man-made way of looking at the spacing between the notes, is to measure it in cents. And why not make every note equidistant, right? So that's what people did. And the great advantage that they got with that is they could play and they could shift keys, right? You could go into different modes, right? And you could play extensions, right? You could play different, blend in major and minor and modal things, right? And modulate keys in the middle in songs, right? So 12 tone equal temperament makes that sound beautifully, except for let's just look. All right, because I was geeking out on this on the harmonics, so I got out a good old pen and paper. And wait, the unicorn. Can we go back this way? The unicorn is like, what do you want to do today, Rainbow? Same thing we do every day. Take over the world. And then we'll spread peace and love and harmony everywhere, light and tune to the best, most loving, healing frequencies, right? And send it out. And light and love to everybody in the whole planet and the universe. That sounds cool. Thanks for that. All right, so anyhow, let's go back to this. So here's what I wrote up, right? Say I've got this C at 132, which I played for you earlier, right? And you can see it. You can see, okay, so that's, I got to go down another octave. Right, and, okay, so there's my, so where actually is my tuning on this thing? Okay. Okay, excuse me, this is not even tuned to the same. All right, hold on, let's fix this real quick. So let's go back to here and let's go to C264. Okay, that's the tuning I'm working with. C is 264, which is a little bit different than what they got here. this app gets buggy. See how it does that? See how it's just reload. It's just not going to let me change. All right, I'm not going to obsess over it right now. So my numbers are a little bit off, right? But okay, so pardon me. So this is 12 tone equal temperament, right? Everything's equal. I just want to show you one more little graphic in this right here. See how these are all equally spaced, right? So that's how it works, 12 tone equal temperament. And so if I keep going down my harmonics thing, right? I start at 132, and here's how harmonics work. I take that number, that's my fundamental, right? The C, that's the note that I'm playing, that's what I'm calling it, that's the frequency of it, right? 132, right? So I'm going to add that to itself, and I'm going to get 264, which is going to create another C because it's double its, the law of octaves, right? But then I'm going to add it to itself again, and then I'm going to get 396, right? Which is a very interesting number, right? And let's just look for a second because I want to. This can demonstrate something pretty interesting. Is if I'm playing, okay, I'm playing the C, and you'll see it there near 132, right? That's the frequency of the sound I'm playing, right? And it generates all these other harmonics, right? Which are these numbers I'm just talking about over here, right? So this first hump is 132, the next one's 264, the next one is 396, right? And I am playing a C, right? And what's going to happen is I'm going to play a G, right? All right, here. I'm going to go back to the C. So I want you to watch the third hump. The third hump. All right, notice how that new hump comes up in the exact space where that was. Okay, so that means there's a G inside of the C, right? So that's how the harmonic series works, and it starts spelling out all these other notes as it goes. But let's make a comparison here. Here's the harmonic series, and it's the G that I've got is a 396, right? And I wrote G over here, and then I looked it up under 12 tone equal temperament, right? And I get 395.55, right? Which you can see if you go over here to the spreadsheet. Okay, 395.56. That's what I got. All right, so there's a little bit of a difference there, right? Okay, so if I keep going, right, and I add 132 again, I get 528. I get another C, which some call that the love frequency, 528 hertz. And look that stuff up and check it out yourself. Now, if I add 132 to it again and get 660, which is like an E note, right? And right, so now there's an E inside of the C along with the G cell, I've got. But if I look at 12 tone equal temperament, I get 665.24, right? So if I come over here, right? Okay, 665.25, sorry. I get as my E5 in the fifth octave. Okay, so that's a little bit different, right? That's even more different, right? That's noticeably different, actually. So some people do notice that difference. And, I've seen guitar players just intentionally tune down one string, right? Just so they can get this note, whatever it is in context of the key they're trying to play in, right, to sound correct and resonate in a better way. Because really, you can really notice it on an electric guitar. It's just kind of harsh sounding, right? So anyhow, this, see how there is a difference between the harmonic series, which is really within every sound that exists, as you know, that has a pitch, that has harmony to it, right, has this harmonic series in it, in the same sequence, right, of the math is the same. You know, whatever your starting note is, you just take that number and you add it to itself, and you add it again and you add it again, and that's how you get all this happening. And then you get this D note down here, right, eventually, you know, and you're going to keep getting the C over and over again, like in the first, the second, the fourth, the eighth, the 16th, like that number just keeps doubling, right? You keep getting another C, but there's more and more notes in between, and they get closer and closer together, right? All right, so the mathematics behind this is totally different than the mathematics behind 12-tone equal temperament, which again is based on this ratio, right here, this number says, do not change this number, right? Because this determines the ratio between each one of these, one to the next, one to the next, all the same ratio, right? So, and then we get this equidistant thing, which is different. Now, if we go, let's go back over to this intonal thing, so we can really look at this. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to something different, and we're going to go to, there we go, Carlos Super Just. Now, so this is a just intonation tuning, right? So it's in harmony with this, with the universe, right? And so you'll notice now that these are no longer equidistant, right? Now I'm playing a C major chord, right? So since this is based on C major, it sounds awesome, right? So I want to revisit the question for a second. Obviously, the music, you know, because we could go on and on in these numbers, and you will see bigger and bigger differences as you go, and you'd be like, there sure is a difference between the music that you listen to all the time, that people create all the time, right? The default tuning, right, is out of tune with the universe. Now, I want to just, real quick, I want to take a bird's eye view. I want to be like an eagle. I want to fly up in the sky, or like this butterfly right up here. I want to fly up above. We're going to take a look at the big picture, and we're going to look at two levels. Okay, so you really understand how this frequencies and harmonics and all this tuning thing works. Is these numbers here, right, that I first talked about, is your master tuning, right? What you're setting A equals some number, it gives you master tuning, right? Which you can set inside of software, you can set it inside of the tuning and the synthesizer. You know, and the default is 440, right? So that's one level, right? That's one level. Now, the second level is this whole idea of the harmonic series and the universe, right? So you're actually, it's like pick one of each, right? You're going to pick some number as your master tuning, right? Regardless, right? So whatever that number is, you're then going to come and you're going to think about, my tuning system. Are my notes, do they have to be equidistant? Can I resonate with the harmony of the universe instead if I want to, or just some other vibe, right? And so here's the thing about, okay, so that's an E flat. Doesn't it sound horrific? Right? It totally does, right? And why? Because the notes are no longer equidistant. Notice how these are all different distances apart, and these are different distances, right? However, this lines up with the harmonics of the universe, right? And you can come in here and you can look at the numbers of the frequencies, and you can notice, you can look at those cents again that I had mentioned. You notice that we started out at 0, and then we jumped to 105, and then 203.9. So they're not 100 even anymore. Right? They sure are not. And so the thing is, here's the thing, if you're going to try make music that sounds beautiful and harmonious, right, you pick a key and you make that your root note, and you play notes and chords that are harmonious to that note. In this case, we're in C, right? So all the notes, these are all like right lined up with the beautiful universe, right? So, but if you go to other keys, all of a sudden things are not in the same distance apart anymore. So they can tend to sound horrible, right? So the thing is, if you were going to try to move to a different key, you would actually come into your software, you'd adjust your tuning to something different, and then you'd use that, and, right? Which we can totally do, like if we wanted to. So here's some lattice, whoopsies. It wants me to turn it this way. I'm sorry, I never expected to have to hold the phone. But you'll see, there it is, not equidistant anymore, but it gives you the ratios, right? Here's all the fractions, right? See, that's a 3/2, 3 over 2. That is the harmonics of that, and that's 4 over 3, right? The very simple ratios, right, of the root, the perfect fifth, which actually is perfect, right? And you'll notice from this, right, because G is the fifth of C, right, it's just not quite perfect. We got 396 versus 395.55, right? So that's just a little bit not quite perfect, right? But it's really, really close. But this is perfect, right? And then we get that third in there, and it's the harmonic third, and it just really sounds way more pure, right? So we get the major 7, we can put that minor 7 in there, right, if we want to. So there's a certain combination of notes that we can play, and we're cool, but we go outside of that. We go to non-diatonic notes, especially from C, and then we're just like in freaky land. All right, so the rabbit hole does go deeper, and I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to that before I go away and leave you with that, because we could be at this all day. But if I come over here and I click on this is the default catalog that comes with Tonal Studio, and look at all these different tunings, right? I could click on one and notice how that moves, and I can click on another one and notice how they move. I click on that one. Look at that wacky one, man. Right, so that sounds interesting. And right, look at that one. All right, so that's kind of unique sounding, right? So you can even make your own stuff. You can explore. So the bottom line really is, like, if you take 12-tone equal temperament, you say, like, what if I don't have to have 12 tones? What if I can have any number? What if I can have 5 or 7 or 31 or 96 or, you know what I mean? How many we got here, right? So there's a whole bunch. That's 24, I guess, right? And then if I can just, like, what spacing? How can I space these out? And do they line up with the harmonic series, right? Or don't they, right? So this is interesting. So there's all these, And then I just like my brain went down the rabbit hole of just intonation. Does that mean the same thing as the harmonic series? So I go back over here to my users saved, and then we were just on this, right, this Carlos just, right? But if I come down here and I click on this, is it Kurzweil just, notice how it's different, you know, that, right? That is different. It's a little bit different tuning. If you come over here, there's an explanation of it. So it's a little bit modified from the harmonic series, but sometimes you can make little modifications away from the, you know, like you embrace the foundation of the harmonic series, but you make a few adjustments, right? So to maybe to tune in a few notes that you can add in that now sound better in the key, right? And then we got this, okay, Yamaha just major. This was definitely worth talking about because see, this is a Yamaha keyboard and I could dial that into the settings of this. I'm not going to right now, but this you'll notice, okay, the configuration, right? And it's got the foundation of just intonation, right? But then they've taken a liberty of modifying a few of the notes. But I think, and I've played with this intonation before, right? And I think it does give you some flexibility in terms of playing additional notes outside of your given key, right? A little bit of flexibility, right? It's, you know, it's a little bit of kind of meets you in the middle between 12 tone equal temperament and the harmonic series itself, right? It's got that fun, you know, it's got the root, it's got 5/4 here, it's got 4/3 here, it's got 3/2 here. So those are the fundamental, you know, in the sevenths we get dialed in, right? So all right, so that's the Yamaha one, right? Now we can also find that over here. So I'm going to mute that for a second. Come on over here to Groove Rider, right? Because we have that right in here. The M1, again, my favorite synth for creating binaural beats. And right here, and I get C pure major, right? So if I click on this, there's equal temperament, you know, the default. But I also get a pure major and a pure minor. And these are the Yamaha tunings, right? The same tuning as the Yamaha. So I pick that, and then, you know, I pick my root. And if I need to change key or something, I change this root, right? So, and then everything sounds good and harmonious relative to that root. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And then I got a binaural beat. See, I've got a different master tuning. And I can save different master tunings in different instances of this, and it saves it. And that's phenomenal. So now we got a binaural beat. You know, the frequency is based on what note I play, right? And harmonics thereof, right? I can play that 132 as my bass frequency, or even below that if I want to, and then I can play harmonics thereof, the perfect fifth, right? And it just sounds sweet and beautiful, and it's enhancing your brain cells, right? so there we have that. So yeah, so the rabbit hole goes way deep. I had another page here. Let's just look at this real quick. And I kind of touched on this. Is there's many flavors of just intonation, right? There's regular plain just intonation that does line up with the harmonics of the universe of the harmonic series, which is a sound that resonates everywhere. That the universe itself is sound, and the nature of sound is just a repeating pattern, right? And it's a resonance. So, right, and there's Pythagorean, which you didn't really get into, but maybe in the future. And right, we got, so then I talked about the number of notes and the distance between the notes can be anything. So that gives you infinite possibilities of note combinations, right? So again, the question, and please do leave a comment. And so, you know, again, it's what if most of the music, right? All that hit music, all, you know, from what I listened to, even as a youngster, on the radio, on CDs, and then later on the internet, all that music is 12-tone equal temperament. And it's just a little bit out of tune with the universe, maybe. I mean, think about it. You know, we could dive more into these numbers, right? And we could you know, totally geek out on the science behind this. But I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for watching. There's a donation link in the description. I appreciate all the help and all the love and all the shares that I can get. Thanks for watching.